Hi, my name is Candy Thorson. I've been at HomeLink now for 2.5 years. This is our 4th year to do BooksShark, and I'm going to give you just a short overview of how BooksShark has worked in our family. To start with, I want to go over just a big overview of BooksShark, the things that I like about it, the way it's set up, and then I'll show you an example of some of our books and the teacher's manual and the actual curriculum. One thing that I love about BooksShark is it's an open-to-go curriculum. The teacher's manual requires no prepping, the curriculum no prepping. I can just open it, I can look at what we're doing for the day, I can pull out the books and read. Another thing that's really important to think about when you're choosing curriculum is what type of curriculum you want. So BooksShark is literature-based. That means you're doing a lot of reading, spending a lot of time in books, and it doesn't have as much crafts or hands-on activities. Now, there are some things that you can add in if you want that, but if you're wanting a big, heavy, hands-on curriculum, BooksShark might not be your best choice. But I love that it's literary based for our family. That works great. Along that note, the books that they use are living books. So they tell a lot of history through story form, and they use a lot of Usborne books for the science and some of the history, and my kids have just devoured those books. Another thing that we love is I can pick and choose subjects. You can get either all-in-one box curriculum that includes your history, your science, your language arts, or you can pick and choose different parts of that. You don't have to do the whole package. The last thing that I just love about our BooksShark is my children's language arts readers are reading along with history. So as we study, this year we're studying the American history, my kids are reading right along in their readers with the same things we're talking about in history. So that's just been great for reinforcing the concepts that they're learning. As far as the time commitment for BooksShark, it takes about 30 to 60 minutes for us to get through all our reading for the day. That includes our history read-alouds, our science read-alouds, and our literature read-alouds, as well as my children's read-alouds. Generally, I can fit in that time. Sometimes it'll be a little extra. But it doesn't have to be like during school time. You could fit that in while you have breakfast. You could fit it in while you're eating lunch or afternoon, outside on a blanket, or bedtime reading. So you don't have to think of it as this reading has to be done during school time. So that's something to remember. As far as how to group your family or multiple ages into BooksShark, each level, I believe I said this already, can span about 3 grades. So as you go onto the BooksShark website and you look at the different levels, they'll say what ages they recommend for that level. And you can also kind of think about if you have more of an advanced reader or somebody who's struggling more, maybe you want to bump them down or up. The thing to remember is that if you are grouping children of multiple ages, you want to go with the lower age band. And they'll be doing the same level then for their history and their science and literature. Their language arts and their math are going to be separate in all their independent levels. So they will not be doing the same level for that. Their readers will also be separate on their independent level. I want to show you now a sample of some of our books from this year, so you can kind of get a picture of what the BooksShark books look like. You get a ton of books with BooksShark. They all come included. They all come as a package deal. You don't have to go to the library to get them. And if you go on their website, they'll list them all out. They have a picture of them all, so you can see what you'll be getting. Okay, these are some of the books that we have for this year. We're doing Intro into American History, which is level D on BooksShark. The first year is World Cultures, and then they do 2 years of World History, 2 years of American History, and then that's followed by Eastern Hemisphere, and then it starts the history cycle over. So if you feel like, oh man, we really missed out on year of world history or American history, like you're going to repeat it. So it's not a big deal to stress about it. So this is just an example of a few books. I didn't pull them all off my shelf, but I wanted to show you what some of them look like. They generally have a main history reader. So for our level this year, these are our history readers. A lot of times they use an Usborne encyclopedia, which has beautiful pictures. The younger ages, so D is a little older ages. We're looking at ages 9 to 12. The younger ages will have more pictures to text ratio in their readers. So if we open this is the DK. This is one of our main readers. You can see about the ratio of reading there. And in this we'll do, they assign about 2 pages a day. So it's not a lot of reading. Now they don't have you read all these books at the same time. It'll be like Monday, Tuesday, this book, Thursday, Friday, this book. This one has more text. It is considered a living book because it's in story format. And they'll generally have us read about a chapter a week in this book. And then this is our other main history reader, which has also been fun, has lots of pictures, and has been a great overview of history this year. Well, I'm looking at this. I want to show you. This is the teacher's manual. If you open this up, they lay it out in a 4-day-a-week format. Now you can shift that however you want. In here you'll find this is what we're reading for history, geography, our read alouds for the week for this level. And this is for our literature read alouds that we are all doing as a family. The readers are the student readers for the level of this book, for history D. So that might vary depending on what age your child is and what language arts they're doing. And then they have several options depending on the level you're doing. They have several options. This has regular and advanced. History C, I believe, has regular, intermediate, and advanced. So it really just depends on what level you're doing. And then they have optional activities below. The science is set up very similarly. Then they have notes for each day if you want questions to ask your kids on the reading, if there's something maybe they want you to discuss or focus on. Science is set up the same way. You have a 4-day-a-week format. These are your readers, activity questions you're doing, and optional activities. So it's all laid out very easy, open and go. If there is something that they need you to prep for, like next week we're going to do this experiment, you need this supplies, they will list it out here 1 to 2 weeks in advance so that you know and you can prep for that. So that's the teacher's manual. The history readers. Now, if you do the reading along with history package, you also get the literature readers. These are examples of the ones we're doing this year. Even starting in kindergarten, they're short chapter books. As they get older, this is a little longer chapter books. These are what the parent reads aloud to the child. These are living books. There's been very few that we have not just loved and enjoyed. Most of them are classics or they're award winners. They are either focused on literature, on that part of the world we're learning about, or this year has been very historical focus on American history. Another thing that they'll include in the literature with the reading along with history is generally a poetry book. This year we have 1 poem that we focus on a week. Some days they'll have you read a poem a day depending on the book and the level. Along with the reading along with history part of BookShark, you get the student readers. Now, if you do the whole package, this is all included, or you can just break out and do the reading along with history. This is an example of the student readers for this year. You can see how thick these chapter books are. This one's a little shorter one. Again, this is the 9 to 12 age range. And then there's a little longer one. So the landmark books, short historical books, these my children have just loved. And they go right along with what we're studying in history. And you can get a complete list of all the books on their website. Now, that's the reading along with history, which you can totally do as your history and part of your language arts package through HomeLink. Now, if you want to also include the science package, we have thoroughly loved BookShark Science. Generally how it's set up is you read a couple pages a day in a reader, generally a Usborne book, and then you have, this is the science kit, you have a weekly science experiment. Levels A through C are set up that way. Level D was a little different. We've had reading every day, and then we have had a longer experiment that lasts about 3 to 4 weeks. It's just got a little bit every day instead of doing once a week. So it's been set up a little different. But the science kit includes everything that you need to do the science experiments for this level. This is the science experiment book that we are doing in this level. It lays out everything you need to know, gives you the experiments, how to do it. This has been new to level D. Levels A through C uses an Usborne experiment book. This is our main reader this year. And you can see it's a classic Usborne book. It has lots of pictures, very interesting text, and generally we read about 2 to 4 pages of this a day. So it's pretty short. The other book that they are using this year in Science Level D is the Real Science for Kids book, which goes a little deeper into some of the science concepts, and this one's focused on biology. If you do want to add some more crafts or hands-on activities to BookShark, they have for levels A through D recommended kits by Inquisikids. Levels B and C, I believe, have hands-on history kits, and they do a craft. It's about a craft a month is what it worked out to be for us. For levels, I think then D and E, they recommend the American History lap books. These have been fun. Let's see if I can open this here. The kids are making lap books. This is a map right now. My son is coloring in for exploration of the New World, and they slowly make these books that tie along with American history and what we're learning about. And you can look up more about this on their website. But they're a great way to add in some hands-on activities. Last thing I wanted to review real quick is if you decide to do BookShark, when you go to order, think about if you want the whole package, you want to do history, science, and language arts through BookShark, or if you just want to do parts. This year we are doing the read along with history and the science, and then we're doing something else for language arts. So you can totally work with your consultant and plan that out and do parts of it. You don't have to do the whole thing. Think about the age range of your children and which level you want to do and which span of history you want to do. I mentioned that they spend 2 years on American history and before that 2 years on world history. Something that is a little harder to find on BookShark's website that they do offer, they offer both of those condensed into 1 year. So if you only want to spend 1 year on world history, that is called condensed. You can just search it on their website, B and C. And they also offer a condensed American history, D and E. So if you only want to spend 1 year on each of those, that's an option. What they do is they use the same curriculum, the same books, they just pull some of them out because you can't do all of them. They just pull some of them out enough to make it into 1 year. So that's something to think about. We have loved BooksShark. We love reading. We love books. It hasn't been super time consuming for us. We're still able to fit in a very reasonable homeschool day, and it's worked out great for our family.